right, break us in a little bit. Big picture. If you've never heard of the Hebrew Israelites or the Black Hebrew Israelites, like, what do we need to know? 101. Who is this group?
The key thing is the ideology of Hebrew Israelism. And the essence of it is, if you're negatively impacted by the transatlantic slave trade, you might just be a true Israelite. There's different ways you can phrase that, but that's the essence of Hebrew Israelism. Now, there's a lot of things that are generally associated along with it, because that claim in and of itself, although historically dubious, is not heretical per se. It's all the things that get attached, and the way this newly discovered, if it really is discovered, identity becomes the pinnacle of a person's identity and the trump card in their theology. So everything gets thrown out of whack. Everything's all topsy-turvy. It's almost impossible. I'm speaking anecdotally. Maybe it is possible. But, Mike, it is almost impossible to find a Hebrew Israelite of any type or stripe who is balanced in their view of Christ and in their supposed view of them being an Israelite.
So there's like this issue that probably most people aren't even thinking of, that becomes the center of the unifying truth in the movement. And then it just, from there, it branches out, and it has really detrimental impacts on sort of central Christian beliefs, or at least it seems that it does that regularly. So
I'll give you – go ahead.
Go ahead. Give me an example.
Yeah, I was going to give you examples. I want to be a good boy here, right? Be a good apologetics boy. Give an example of what you're saying. The Trinity is one of the first doctrines to go. And I'll tell you how it works. There's a few ways that the devil uses Hebrew Israelism to attack the Trinity. One is people start reading stuff and say, oh my goodness, this is a Greco-Roman idea inspired by pagan philosophy. Who knows what sources they're getting a hold of? Generally speaking, they're not very good sources. You've seen this stuff online. And since now they understand themselves as an Israelite, there's a new kind of oversensitivity towards anything that they're concerned is non-Israelite. So the Trinity now is deemed as this other thing that was an intrusion into true Messiah being a disciple of the Messiah, or also because of this new emphasis on the Old Testament, almost as if the new hasn't even come. Because of that, the Trinity gets diluted, because I think most of us, even if we believe the blueprint for the Trinity is in the Old Testament, understand the doctrine is more explicitly laid out with the incarnation and the subsequent growth of the early church. As we see that, we understand we want the complete package to have a better Trinitarian understanding of God's nature. This new emphasis on the Old Testament, really sometimes at the exclusion of the new, as if it's kind of like this just addendum, and sometimes even wrong. Sakari, the group we were out talking to Saturday, Mike, straight up says, as one of their points of doctrine, Paul went off and Paul made errors. And if we defend him, they'll say, oh, here you guys are defending the doctrine of man over and against the doctrine of God. That's part of what they'll say, which is ironic, right? And so that's an example of something that goes often. I've only met a few Trinitarian Hebrew Israelites in my life, and I don't think there's any camp or group that's officially Trinitarian, except for one church I know of, and they're off balance in so many other ways that their Trinitarian doctrinal statement doesn't save them from imbalance in other ways.
Yeah. Wow.